Thank you everybody so much for joining today. My name is Erica, and I really appreciate your time. A little bit of background about me. I've been with Priority Matrix for just under 6 years now. And so I've been lucky enough to work firsthand with a lot of our ongoing customers and kind of our firsthand users. And so I've been able to talk to them and, really see what the struggles are without Priority Matrix and, learn how Priority Matrix can support people in specific roles. And so for today, we're actually going to be focusing on how Priority Matrix supports somebody in the executive assistant role. So the title of today's webinar is Stop Drowning in Emails and Meetings with Priority Matrix for Office 365. What we're going to do is look at, again, how Priority Matrix supports the executive assistant, specifically using it hand in hand with your Office 365 apps, such as Microsoft Teams and Outlook 365. All right, so I want to start off this webinar by sharing a quote with you to kind of, help you understand why our users are, so adamant on using Priority Matrix. So a partner at a Fortune 500 company told me, I'm sick of spending all days in meetings and being swamped in emails. So while this person wasn't exactly an executive assistant, this is something that would absolutely resonate with NEA. And, it kind of goes very well hand in hand with the meeting of this webinar, which is how to stop, drowning in emails and meetings and how Priority Matrix can help with that. So hopefully this quote, resonates with you. You can relate to it and it will help you kind of understand what we're looking at today. So a quick overview of today's webinar. First, I want to help you understand kind of generally what Priority Matrix is. We're going to look at challenges faced by executive assistants. I'm going to show you how you can actually get started. We will do the live demo for probably about 15 to 20 minutes. It's a little bit shorter today since it's a very focused kind of demo that I want to give you. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A. I have a couple prepared common questions, and then if you come up with questions throughout this webinar, feel free to either write them down and save it till the end or drop it into the chat box, and I can kind of answer that for you at the end. So what is Priority Matrix? Hopefully you guys have all had the chance to kind of explore our website or maybe watch some of my past webinars. But if you haven't and you have no idea what Priority Matrix is, you can kind of think of it as a project and task management software. But, what does that exactly mean? That could cover a lot of different topics. And so for today, we're going to understand how Priority Matrix helps our users have fewer and more effective meetings and how it supports you with email prioritization. Again, both things that executive assistants are, pretty much faced with every single day, and it carries a huge weight for them for what their responsibilities look like. So that's what we're going to focus on today. But if you kind of want to wrap it up and have, an overall understanding of how you can describe PM, is you can call it project and task management software, but we do a lot more than just that. Another quote I want to look at today, which is from a partner at a upscale retailer featuring contemporary furniture, essentially. And what they told me was, I'm a Priority Matrix user who's looking to organize an otherwise unwieldy Outlook. So again, this challenge is faced by essentially everybody in all sorts of different roles, but specifically faced by the executive assistant having a really overwhelmed inbox. And not only theirs, but they're often dealing with the inbox of an executive or a direct report as well. And I want to show you how you can, use our system to manage that inbox. So how do we actually get started with Priority Matrix? You can install the desktop application for Mac, Windows, and we also have a mobile app you can install. Additionally, and I would say more commonly at this point, is either using the web application at prioritymatrix.com. And most popular is using the Microsoft Teams integration and the integration with Outlook 365. In today's webinar, I'm actually going to show you how we can piece together using Priority Matrix with Outlook, Microsoft Teams, and how those two integrations will support you with better meetings and well-managed inbox for yourself and your executive. You can also use these integrations on your mobile phone as well, so it's not limited to just the desktop versions. So, as we kind of start to pick this apart and I show you why Priority Matrix is so helpful for the executive assistant, as I mentioned, I've been lucky enough to talk to our users firsthand, a lot of those being EAs. And common challenges that I see them being faced with before they use Priority Matrix is difficulty managing top priority emails, not only theirs, but the executive's inbox as well. It's super challenging if you don't have a good system in place for this. Another challenge is last minute schedule changes because what are they supposed to do? Are you supposed to send an email for an update, maybe shoot it through a text message, or even schedule a last minute meeting to let the executive know about the last minute changes? I mean, realistically, everybody on this meeting today is probably thinking, no, that's the last thing that should be done. But unfortunately, it's, kind of the only option for a lot of people. So that's definitely a common challenge. And then lastly is managing several calendars. Taking care of your own schedule can be hard enough. And then when it comes to managing the calendar for somebody else, an executive assistant can, feel incredibly overwhelmed and not really know what to do unless they have a system like Priority Matrix. So, lastly, before we dive into the demo, I want to leave you with our last quote today, which is actually from an executive assistant. And what she told me is, we keep getting distracted by all the new things that pop up. We need to figure out a way to stay on task. And that's exactly what Priority Matrix is going to do. And next up, I'm actually going to show you the live demo so we can kind of start to piece all of this together. All right. So, give me just 1 second here to get the demo set up. Perfect. So what we're all looking at now is my priority matrix directly through Microsoft Teams. And for whatever reason, if you're not able to see this or you think you're looking at the wrong screen, drop something into the chat. But I'm fairly certain we should all be looking at my screen with my priority matrix pulled up. So if you're brand new to Priority Matrix, first and foremost, I want to help you understand kind of the general layout of the system. So we have set up Priority Matrix to allow you to basically create projects. But these projects are not just a place for you to keep track of what you need to get done, but more importantly, as an executive assistant, it's a space that you're able to share with that person who you're working closely with. That direct report, the CEO, the president, maybe it's several people that you're keeping track of their inbox and keeping track of their schedules. Once you create these projects in Priority Matrix, this is now going to be that central space where you're able to do all of your collaborating and work together. Something I do want to mention is these projects are not automatically shared with anybody, so you are welcome to create a new project and keep it private just for yourself, or you can in fact decide to, share it with whoever may need to have access and visibility into these projects. So again, these become that central space to collaborate with whoever you need to work together. In turn, helping you send less emails, helping you have better communication, and easily share these last minute updates, which we'll take a closer look at in just a minute. So these projects here are examples of how I've personally seen executive assistants set up their priority matrix, which is kind of highlighting those challenges that they're facing without this system. And so what you're able to do is, you may potentially want to create a project for those meetings that are confirmed that you're setting up for the executive. You would likely want to have a project for the top priority emails that you're handling for them. And then I've also seen it really common to create a project which will allow you to share those last minute schedule changes, whether it's a meeting that's canceled, a meeting that's bumped up an hour, whatever it is, we want to give you that space to share those last minute changes effectively and send that VP pretty much immediate notifications. So if you're feeling a little bit lost and don't really know how to get started in PM as an executive assistant, I would say, pick one or two of these projects, modify it to be your own, and that's going to be a great place for you to get started. So when we open up one of these projects, on the right-hand side, you can see where it says members. So here's myself, and then I have two other people. And we are using my colleague Pablo here as the example, who would, in this example, be my executive. So the idea is, again, as an executive assistant, you're likely running the calendar and scheduling meetings for somebody else. And so when you're able to, confirm that meeting and get it into priority matrix, as soon as you share this project with your executive, you are now both going to be able to see everything that's in this project, and you're really easily able to send immediate notifications. So we will actually create a new task, and we'll say, okay, so a confirmed meeting for the VP is maybe they have, let's say, stakeholders in the office, meet with them due Friday at 8 a.m. All right, so now that I've put this action item in this project, Pablo would technically be able to see this, but we want to take it a step further, and we actually want to notify them. So what I'm going to do is delegate this task to the person who I'm scheduling this meeting for. And now what happens is, number one, they've got a notification that I scheduled this meeting for them. Number two, when they use the agenda view in Priority Matrix, this meeting is now going to show up as something that they're aware of that needs to happen on Friday. And I'll show you that agenda view in just a minute. It's now super easy to communicate with my executive, because what we can do is I can actually use this chat box to communicate with them. And again, if any changes happen, I can modify that due date. And now they're going to be getting direct notifications and updates when I change this item. So this is, definitely a best practice for, like we looked at before, for a common challenge that executive assistants face, which is scheduling meetings and managing that calendar. Priority Matrix is going to create a calendar view for you. So your executive can rely on the Priority Matrix calendar, or you can actually sync this with their Outlook calendar so they can have everything in that central space if they choose to have it be through Outlook. So that's going to be the first example of, again, how you can manage their calendar, and, kind of keep them up to date with any last minute changes and upcoming meetings they need to be aware of. Also, in terms of having more effective meetings, what we've done is we've set up what's called the OneonOne View. What happens with the one-on-one is you can choose the executive who you're working with, or, down the line, anybody on your team who's using Priority Matrix with you. And what's going to happen is the system actually automatically generates this shared priority list. So now any meetings that you've scheduled for them, any emails you've prioritized, which we'll definitely circle back to and take a closer look at in just a minute, but really any priorities that are relevant between yourself and this one other person are now going to show up on this one-on-one view. So the idea is you no longer have to spend your valuable time looking through emails, looking through text messages, looking through meeting notes to say, what do we need to talk about today? What are the updates we need to share? Priority Matrix is automatically creating this meeting agenda for you. As an executive assistant, there's oftentimes a lot being dropped on your plate last minute. So during these meetings, you may be getting more things that you need to handle for the executive. So what you can actually do is you can add a new shared task. You may want to set yourself as the owner. And then what you can do is you can actually create this new action item during this meeting, so you don't have to worry about forgetting about it. So let's say maybe you need to reply to Tim from company X to book new meeting. And maybe the executive wants you to get this done by due Monday at, let's say, 11 a.m. That's going to be the cutoff. You can choose the project that you need to prioritize it into. We'll say this is going to be delegated because it's assigned to me. And now what happens is when I create this new action item, you can see that it's added to our one-on-one view. So again, I'm not going to forget about this because Priority Matrix is going to send me these reminders. And during our next meeting, this will automatically be added to that meeting agenda. So kind of circling back to recap before we jump on to the next topic, which is going to be the email management aspect of it. But Number one, you're able to easily communicate new meetings and schedule changes by using these projects as that central space to work together. And number two, the one-on-one view is going to make your personal meetings super easy because it creates that meeting agenda for you. So you can make sure you're not forgetting about anything and you don't have to spend your own time preparing for those meetings. All right, so moving on to, in my opinion, what may be the most important part of this webinar, which is the Outlook integration. So as an executive assistant, you are definitely going to be managing your own inbox, and that can be hard enough alone. But when it comes to also managing the inbox for somebody else, that executive, whoever it might be, whatever role they're in, is going to be looking to you to say, hey, Erica, what are my most important emails that I need to get around to today? And I've seen people attempt to do this through leaving something unread, maybe moving it into a folder for the executive or flagging it. But ultimately what happens is this really just, it honestly isn't helpful, because what happens is if you leave 100 emails unread, or let's say even 10, that executive still has no idea when they need to get around to it, truly what the highest priority email is. And it's just simply not helpful. But when you use priority matrix, what you can do is, number one, you can prioritize this email into the correct project for that executive. So you'll pick the project name that you previously set up in your priority matrix Teams integration. You can delegate it to somebody right off the bat if you know for sure you want them to get notified about this email. Here's all of my teammates here, so I could choose my executive. I'll leave it assigned to myself for this example. You can choose the quadrant where you need to prioritize this. So let's say this is going to be an immediate task that we need to focus on. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to say webinar email example, just so we can find it super easily. And now we can pick my due date. So when I hit create action item, now I can circle back to my priority matrix and thinking through or looking at this through the lens of the VP. Now they're able to open up this project. Here are their top priority daily emails that you've already prioritized for them, and they can clearly see their due date. So to kind of take this a step further, I like to suggest people use the icons to even further prioritize these emails. So now, as the executive looks at this project, they're able to see, okay, here's the first email I need to respond to. Here's the second priority email that I need to respond to. And if at any time they have any questions, maybe they say, hey, Erica, can you actually reply to this for me? And then maybe they say, remind Erica in 1 hour. So as you can see, it's essentially seamless to communicate. You're very easily able to prioritize their emails for them, and it's centralized, right? So you're able to communicate, share updates, and they do have these deadlines. So if for whatever reason it slips their mind and they forget about it, Priority Matrix is absolutely going to remind you and remind them when they need to circle back and make sure they've handled this email. So I mentioned a couple things here. I've mentioned alerts and notifications a couple of times. So I want you all to understand that these alerts are actually going to be coming directly through the alerts tab in Priority Matrix. So this is great for the executive or the executive assistant to see recent updates from their teammate and the people using Priority Matrix with them. So this guy, for example, metrics for Q1, I delegated it to Pablo. So that's why it's coming up as an alert, because it's a recent change that has happened. It's going to show you due dates, reminders, any type of status updates from your teammates come right here through the alerts. Another thing that I want you all to be super aware of, and again, up there with the Outlook integration, I think this agenda view is one of the most powerful things that Priority Matrix offers. And what this is the agenda shows you today and the next 7 days of everything that you need to get done according to your due dates in Priority Matrix. So why is this so helpful? As an executive assistant, you're working diligently to prioritize the executive's emails. You're working diligently to manage their schedule and make sure they know about any upcoming meetings. So when they go to their agenda view, they're very easily able to see, here's what I need to get done today. Here's what I have upcoming for Friday, Monday, and again the next 7 days. And then they can very easily see anything that may have slipped their mind and become overdue. So while you are doing the groundwork as the executive assistant, preparing everything, making sure nothing is slipping through the cracks, keeping it in priority matrix, this agenda will actually be automatically created for that executive so they can start the day looking at this view and get on track based off of all the hard work that the executive assistant has done to keep their priority matrix up to date. So all in all, I hope I was able to paint a picture for you all, kind of showing you best practices for number one, creating a central space for visibility, which isn't going to be through Outlook because Priority Matrix provides a better way to actually prioritize those emails, set deadlines, and allow your executive to actually have an automatically created agenda. Priority Matrix also helps you have more effective meetings because, again, it automatically shows you everything that's relevant between yourself and one other person. And number three, it gives you a system where you can effectively manage your emails and you can manage the emails for that other inbox that you're overseeing. Let's see. So going back to the PowerPoint here, a quick recap, which I kind of actually just went over. Let's see if I missed anything. You can share schedule changes and updates without having to rely on emails. And then again, instant notifications that won't be overlooked because you can actually set recurring due dates and recurring reminders if you're concerned about something slipping through the cracks. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop sharing very briefly. I'm going to check the chat box to see if there's any questions that have been dropped in. I don't see any as of now. So if any of you have questions, feel free to actually raise your hand or drop the comment into the chat, and I can actually give you the power to unmute yourself, and then we can kind of talk one-on-one. Or if you're more comfortable, definitely drop those questions into the chat box. Perfect. So I saw a question come in. Is there a way to use priority matrix on emails for my other accounts that are implemented? Yes, absolutely. And this is actually a common question that I think we heard last time as well. And I think that we've actually talked about this before. So if it's okay with you, I would like to send you a personalized email follow-up just to make sure we can kind of get to the bottom of this. But for the others who are listening today, you can absolutely use a priority matrix through multiple inboxes. For me, I have 2 Gmails and a Microsoft email all coming into different inboxes through Outlook. And the Outlook extension works for all of them. You simply just have to install it on each of those inboxes. And again, I will definitely follow up with you kind of personally to make sure we sort that out. Another common question is, do we offer a free trial to get started? Yes, we absolutely do. It's going to be 2 weeks by default, but if you need more time to test this out with your teammates, no problem. Definitely just let me know, and I'm happy to help with that. The free trial will give you access to all of the integrations and all of the features in Priority Matrix. In terms of subscription options, when that free trial ends, we have pricing starting at $5 per user per month, all the way up to customized enterprise licenses for a company-wide subscription or kind of a site-wide deployment where we're able to actually kind of customize, security features, training, onboarding. So we have a wide variety of different pricing options. In terms of support and training for our business and enterprise licenses, we offer customized onboarding support and ongoing training. For everybody else, you're welcome to attend my ongoing webinars, or we have dozens of resources online on our knowledge base and our YouTube page. And I would say this is one of the most common questions that comes up, which is, can priority matrix be used with external collaborators? And the answer is absolutely yes. We don't enable any barriers when it comes to working across departments, with contractors, with somebody with a different domain. All of us on the meeting today, we could actually collaborate through priority matrix without any barriers. Oftentimes, when people are working with external collaborators, they actually like to use it directly through Teams, through a channel, or through a chat, which is definitely going to be an option for you. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing there. It looks like, no questions right now, kind of doing a last call for those questions. And if nothing else comes up, I want to first and foremost thank you all for being troopers and kind of sticking it out through this entire webinar. Okay, awesome. It looks like we have one question. So what I'm going to do, Danielle, is I'm going to allow your mic, and now on your side, you can actually unmute yourself and we'll be able to talk. Okay, go ahead. Let's see if I can hear you.
Good morning. This
Good
is
morning.
this is a really small question. I'm just curious. I just started using Priority Matrix, and we have, the whole Microsoft implementation of Outlook and everything. And I'm just curious because I have my image uploaded like in the Outlook and Teams and everything, but then when I'm in Priority Matrix, I just see my initial. I'm just curious
Hmm,
how to sync all of that to see,
sure.
which is super small, but
No, that's definitely a great question, and it actually comes up all the time. So it's actually called your priority matrix avatar, and it's something that you set kind of independently from your Office 365 picture. So I'm pulling it up right now. I'm going to drop the link into the chat box where you can change. Again, we call it the avatar, and then you can
okay.
kind of customize. So let's see. I've got that link and dropping it into the chat. So you can actually just follow this link that I just pasted, and then you can upload the picture that you want to use.
Okay. Oh, okay. Now it just shows up
Yep.
automatically.
Exactly. Yep. And
Okay.
hopefully that works. If you have any challenges with that, let me know, but it should be pretty straightforward.
And then I guess I'm just looking for like some introductory trainings because I literally just was introduced to this by my CFO, and right now I just keep calling and asking him questions. So um I just saw this invitation like in my spam last night, so I wasn't even
Mhm.
sure what was going to be
Oh
covered,
no.
but
It
just
went to
kind
your
of like
spam. That's sad.
so.
Yeah, so I actually am hosting a bunch of webinars for the rest of January. And on Friday, the 21st, I'm hosting an intro to Priority Matrix. And so that would definitely be your best bet. It's going to be a little bit longer, probably more of like a 20 or 30-minute demo by myself. And it's going to, walk you through all the basics, everything you need to know to actually kind of get started. And I'll send you all a follow-up email with all of the upcoming webinars that I have scheduled, so you can register to any that you think would be helpful for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right. Well, if that does it for questions, we can wrap up this webinar.